All right, in this video we're going to talk about how we interpret solutions to equations when we're looking at linear equations. This is a very important skill, being able to take the result that you get and interpret it to a real-world context. After we take the words and write an equation and then solve an equation, what does that answer mean in context? So let's look at this first example. It says Carl buys some cookie dough at $12 per package and wrapping paper for $5 a roll from a school fundraiser. He spends a total of $39. The equation that models this situation is shown below. 12x plus 5y equals 39. The ordered pair 2, 3 is a solution to this equation. What does this solution mean? Okay, so knowing that this ordered pair is a solution to the equation and knowing how ordered pairs work, this solution is saying that, x is 2 and y is 3. But now we need to figure out, what do x and y stand for? And so we look at the equation. We see that he bought cookie dough at $12 per package. That goes right here. And he bought wrapping paper for $5 a roll. And there's our 5 right here. And that whole transaction cost him a total of $39. So now we have to ask ourselves, what do the variables x and y stand for in this equation? Why would we take 12 times x if 12 is the cost per package for cookie dough? And if we think long and hard about this, we should realize that x represents the number of packages of cookie dough that Carl is buying. And if we think about the wrapping paper the same way, he's buying it for $5 a roll. We're taking 5 times y. So what does 5 times y represent? It represents the amount that he spends on wrapping paper. And so y represents the number of rolls of wrapping paper. And so when x is 2 and y is 3, x represents the number of packages of cookie dough. So he bought 2 packages of cookie dough. And y represents the number of rolls of wrapping paper, and so he bought 3 rolls of wrapping paper. And that's what that ordered pair solution represents. And so I've done a pretty decent job, I think, of interpreting the solution in this context. All right, that's how most of the problems that you look at when you're trying to interpret are going to be. We need to figure out, what does the variable stand for, and use what the variable stands for along with our solution to decide what the actual real-world context of that solution represents. All right, let's look at one more example here, a slightly different kind of example. Tiara went to the pet store and bought some goldfish for $4 each and some hamsters for $9 each. Her total bill was $50. The equation that models this situation is below. 4x plus 9y equals 50. The ordered pairs -1, 6, 8, 2, and 17, -2 are all solutions to this equation. Which of these solutions are valid in this problem, and why? Well, first of all, if I substituted all of those ordered pairs back into the equation, they would all give us true values, which means that mathematically, all of these solutions are valid. But just because they're all mathematically valid doesn't necessarily mean that they're all actually valid. So let's think about this. We've got an x value of -1 and a y value of 6 in the first ordered pair, an x value of 8 and a y value of 2 in the next ordered pair, and an x value of 17 and a y value of -2 in the next ordered pair. So the question becomes, what do x and y represent? And that's going to help us decide which of these solutions are actually practically valid. All right, so she paid $4 for goldfish. So x represents the number of goldfish that she buys. And she paid $9 for hamsters. So y represents the number of hamsters that she buys. So looking at the first ordered pair, that would mean that she would buy -1 goldfish and 6 hamsters. Now, if you think about that for a second, you'll realize that it's not possible for her to buy a negative number of goldfish. And so this solution can't possibly be valid. The next ordered pair, 8, 2, she would buy 8 goldfish and 2 hamsters. That seems reasonable. And then the next ordered pair, 17, -2, she would buy 17 goldfish and -2 hamsters. Again, just like we couldn't buy a negative number of goldfish, we can't buy a negative number of hamsters. And so that wouldn't be a valid solution. And so for all practical purposes, 8, 2 is the only solution that's valid in this problem. And why? Because she can't buy a negative number of pets. Can't buy a negative number of either type of pets. Now this is something that you need to look out for when you're solving problems is, does your solution that you come up with actually make practical sense in the context of the problem? Because if it doesn't, then we need to consider discarding it. You know, if I'm solving for the length of a rectangle and I get -7, we know that the length of a rectangle can't be -7. And while some quantities and equations that we solve could very well be negative, there are others that can't. And we need to take that into consideration. All right, this has been a quick review of how we can interpret solutions to equations. See you next time.